Hi, and welcome to the Sister's Guide to Financial Freedom. I'm your host, Crystal, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Jennifer.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi. And we are here because Black Americans are at a disadvantage when it comes to wealth in this country, and we want to make a change in that trend. So we've got lots of stories to share, lessons learned, personal experiences that we hope can help to fuel you as you are on your journey to financial freedom. So, Jennifer, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Oh, good.
I'm excited to talk about savings grace.
Yes.
That's where it all starts.
Yes. Saving is such a basic tool when it comes to financial freedom. Why do you think it's so important as it relates to financial freedom?
That's where it all starts. Mm-hmm. And I think our ability to save creates our ability to be able to break the cycle and to be able to create wealth for ourselves mm-hmm. and for future generations. Mm-hmm. It all comes in what we save and how we use that portion of the income that we make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's critical. Financial freedom for me means not having that stress when I know I've got big expenses that are coming. I've got a plan that's in place to help me get there, help me to move towards my financial goals, if it's retirement or if it's sending my children to college. They're in second and third grade, so I'm in for the long haul over the next 12 years to get them there. But yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful tool when it comes to trying to achieve your financial freedom goals.
Yep. And our financial freedom is different for all of us, and our goals are different, and they're different at each, I think, stage of your journey, mm-hmm. your journey of life. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you've got young kids. I know when my kids were young, that was a main thing. I think I've shared with you, we didn't want our kids to have to go to college and worry about paying for college or taking out student loans. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I really made sure we put a goal out there that, hey, we want to be able to support our two kids when they go to college. Mm-hmm. And that was important to us. I've also had a goal for retirement. I'm on a 5-year plan come a week from Monday. Right. It's down to 5 years. It started mm-hmm. at a 7.5-year plan a few years ago towards I'll call retirement of choice. And so it may be that I keep working in the same type of work I'm doing now. It may be that I move to something else. But for me, a part of my personal financial freedom is going to be able to have that choice when I reach the age of 60 mm-hmm. to either continue working or not continue working. Mm-hmm. But it'll be my choice, and I'll have the ability to do that. And so I think when I think of savings grace and where wealth begins, it begins with savings. Now, we've already assumed that this is after you've gotten to a point where you're making some income. Mm-hmm. All right. That's a different conversation for a different day to get to the income piece of it. But if you do have income, if you are blessed to have a job, have employment, making money, no matter what amount of money, it can be you're just starting out and you just have a small income, or you can be further along in your career and have a more kind of solid, substantial income base. Mm-hmm. But no matter what your income is, no matter how little or how large, if you really start by focusing on the savings, paying yourself first, mm-hmm. that to me is the first step towards your financial freedom.
Yeah, and I can just hear Dad's voice. I think he used to say, pay yourself first. Take at least 10% of what you make and put it into a savings account. And I remember my first job going through my budget, like, okay, I've got to put 10% away. Mm-hmm. How do I do that? And just from day one, I did that. So I was living off of less than what I made because I made savings such a big part of my financial goals.
Yes. And it starts with the savings. And I think 10% is a great guide or North Star. Mm-hmm. I know when my kids were small and we had bought our first house, it was less than 10% just because we had other priorities, but it was something.
Yes.
And I've always done something. And even with my kids now, when they were growing up, they got money at Christmas or their birthdays. Hey, how much of that are we putting into your savings account? So taking a portion of whatever income you have, even if it's small, even if you think, gosh, I'm doing good just to have this income and I don't know how I'm going to make all my ends meet. If you carve out a piece of that first and then look at the remaining 95 or 97%, make your ends meet the best you can off of that, but you'll at least be building something on another pathway, on a parallel pathway, while you're trying to call it dig yourself out of the hole or get yourself in a better position with your disposable income. If you're putting something, no matter how small, I just encourage everyone to start with something on that other parallel path. Yeah. And that can be small, and it can grow as your income grows, as your position changes, and it can be different at different parts of your journey. But do something. Start with something. It all starts with that first piece.
Well, my daughter just had a birthday last weekend, and
nice birthday.
So she was getting gifts. She had a little party. She got a few gifts from her friends, but also family, and some of her friends gave her cards with money in it. So she counted all her money. She's like, "Ooh, it was probably less than $75." But she's like, "Ooh, I got all this money. What am I going to do with it?" And I said, well, the first thing you're going to do is take half of it and put it into the bank. She doesn't
have any household expenses. She should be at a higher savings rate.
Yes. I said, you're going to put half of it, you're going to save half of it and put it in the bank. And her sister, who's a year and a half younger, said, money is not for saving, money's for shopping. And I'm like, oh no, we've got a lot of work to do because it's not, yes.
Yeah. Well,
some of it can be for shopping.
Make that other 50% for what she's shopping. But the thing here is if she puts 50%, because, she's not paying for the household expenses. This is all kind of gravy or icing for her. If she puts a substantial piece of that aside, then she can still enjoy and do the things that she wants that are important to her, that feed her spirit with the other 50%. But now she's starting to build that. And I tell you, when you start putting aside the $5 or the $10, again, it can be small. Well, $5, just a cup of coffee or a sandwich at McDonald's or what have you. But over time, if you do that consistently, I mean, just think about it. If I put $5 aside every month, I'm going to have $60 at the end of the year. Well, you can buy something more with $60 than you can be with just $5. And did you really miss each of those individual $5?
Yes.
Probably not. If you just kind of put it in your mind that I'm putting that aside and I'm putting this over here. So you don't have to have big, lofty, I can't start saving because I don't have money to save. The thing is, if you are making income, if you are getting birthday present cash or anything that's creating cash coming into your household, then you can save.
Yes, and you pay yourself first, which means put it in your savings account before you pay your
before you do anything else.
And that is a discipline. People are like, oh, I can't save because I have all this other stuff to do. No, you pay yourself first. Put it in that savings account and let it grow. One of the lessons that I learned early in my career, I think right around the time that I started my first job out of grad school, I had read a book called Smart Women Finish Rich. And there's only one thing that I remember from that book, and they talk about the coffee factor, the latte factor. And the idea was that everybody can save. You can save. If you can go and buy a coffee every morning for $4, think about, instead of buying that coffee, take that $4 and put it in the bank from the time you're 18 until the time you retire at 65. You can have over $1 million in the bank. And I'm like, $1 million just from not drinking coffee?
Yeah.
Now, and I just, there's a whole, there's, a whole thing behind that called compound interest, which is, kind of technical, but you start saving your money and it grows because your money is working for you all these years, and it just continues to build. The more you're putting dollars in, but then you're making interest off of those dollars.
Right. Well, and you're starting early. The earlier you start, the more time you have. Those small increments, if it's just $5 a day, as that adds up over time, then you have those $5 plus whatever interest you've earned on that $5, which is also earning interest. And over time, that's compounding interest will continue to grow. And you'll be surprised how just a small amount, but done consistently and regularly, and then maybe I'd say you're going to have some benefits of putting it in a type of account that will maximize your investment. So you are earning some level of interest against that. But if you don't touch it and you're disciplined, it certainly can grow over time.
Yes.
And that's how you generate wealth. You don't want to sit back, or you can, but you can be successful in creating wealth by doing it in small increments.
Yes.
Being disciplined around it and letting time work alongside with you. So, we've talked about goals, and it's important that you know kind of, well, what am I saving for?
Yes.
And
it makes you a lot easier to save when you have that why behind it.
When you have a goal, when you have a purpose for it, when you know. And it also, I think, helps you be consistent and leave it untouched, because as you're saving, you don't want to be dipping in and out of it unless it's to meet whatever that goal or objective you have. And, when we talked about kind of budgeting and the discipline around that and having a plan, I mean, set a goal for yourself and then get your plan around it, and then let it go. Let it go to work. Set it and forget it.
Yes.
Just be doing it and let it and put it out there. When I think about savings, some things that I think are helpful, aside from just getting started and doing it, is having that goal and then putting that money in a place that's not easily accessible to you. Because if you keep it in your wallet, you're going to spend it. It's easily accessible. It's there. So put your money outside of wherever you're spending your day-to-day, expenses to pay your rent and go grocery shopping or put gas in the car. Put it in a place that you have to be intentional if you're going to go and spend it. So I've got to either sign into a different bank account or drive to a different location or do something that then is going to, also be kind of a not a roadblock, but like a speed bump for you, that, hey, I'm going to have to go over this hurdle. Is it really the right place, time for me to spend that money?
Yeah. So if it's somewhere that's out of reach, you actually have to make a big effort. And while you're trying to do that big effort, you're thinking, do I really want to touch the savings, or, is there another way to do it? Or, if it's not so accessible, it's easier to like you said, set it and forget it.
So as you're saving for your kids, and I know I was saving for mine, I set up a 529 account, which is specific for education. You get some tax benefits from it, but it's more restricted too, because you can only take money out to use for educational purposes.
Yes.
So that was our personal goals. We wanted to be able to be in a position to, again, send our kids to college without them having to have the burden of student loans, and we wanted to be able to support them with that. So we knew we needed to have a base of savings that would be able to help support them when they got to this age. So we put it in a 529 account, paid a certain amount every paycheck. So every paycheck, what are my goals? What's important to us at this point in time? Because at that point, it was retirement and education. So we would pay ourselves first towards a retirement account, towards a kid's education account. And then that education account was set up so, if I had another, even if it was an immediate need or a desire, well, I wasn't going to go and tap into that money. It was hard
Yes.
hard to get at. And for us, that was actually specific for education. But if you're saving,
and you're bringing this up, I'm taking a mental note that we need to have a whole discussion around education. That's a hot topic right now with the new legislation that was
Biden
passed.
doing a lot of this
exactly.
For
So
education loans and what it means, and that's a whole other story too around education as an investment. So maybe that is something you want to take a loan out for because you're investing in your earnings potential by improving your education.
So we'll definitely get to that in another
But if you
topic.
come back to what's my goal, and your goal might be, what my sister's getting married in December and I want to be able to buy a new dress, and the type of dress that I want to buy is going to be $300. I mean, that might be your goal. And I've got a goal to get this, a new dress for that occasion in this time period. Well, how am I going to get to that? What's going to take for me to have $300 by the 1st of December to be able to go shopping or pay for this dress?
Yeah, and maybe it's, I'm not going to get my eyelashes done and my eyebrows plucked and not going to go to, I'll just do my hair myself for a couple months. I mean, it's amazing all these things that we do in our routines that if we just didn't do them as often or were more selective or didn't do them at all, how you can take those same dollars and put them in a savings account.
If that's what's important to you, and a part of financial freedom is about being able to do the things that are important to you. So if it's important to me to have a dress or, to be able to go to the wedding if it's out of state and I need to have money to be able to do that, a part of your financial freedom is to be able to put yourself in a position to accomplish those things. So the first thing is knowing having knowledge, having knowledge of what I'm trying to do, having that goal. The second thing is having that plan to achieve that. Well, if you know how you're spending your money, if you really are doing something towards budgeting, understanding how I'm spending money, what my income is, what my savings is, what my expenses are, how I'm spending around my expenses, then you really can be in a position to make informed choices about what's right for you to achieve your goal. And to me, financial freedom, again, it's going to be different for me than it is for you.
Absolutely.
But it's based on the things that are important to me and being able to have the means and the wherewithal to achieve those things that are important to me. And I think these are basics that can be used in any income bracket you are at. Even again, if you're starting out and you just feel like, wow, I can barely pay the rent, or maybe I can't pay the rent and utilities and transportation and all these things, and I'm coming up short every month. By having that information or equipping yourself with the knowledge of what your financial requirements or needs are, along with how you are doing things, and really and breaking it down and looking at it, you can start building your pathway towards financial freedom. And we're talking about savings. It's the grace of savings. Even if you're in that situation, if you paid yourself first and you're living off of what's left, even when you're going through those challenges at that stage of your financial journey, you're still on a parallel path building out your pathway to break that cycle. But it starts with doing something. It starts with putting a portion of your income into some form of a savings vehicle.
Yes. So what do you think are the biggest reasons that people don't save?
Oh, I can't afford to save. I've heard that. I'm young. I'm in my 20s. I'll wait when I make more money. I'll start saving when I get a better job. Those are all excuses. If you're making money, you should be saving. If you're getting any type of income, you should be saving, because savings is what is going to put you, again, break that cycle or put you in a different situation than you are today. And so it's hard. It's just hard because it's like, I don't think I have enough to get through and do all the things. And some people maybe even feel like I don't have all the things I need. need to have, just the basics for living. And I don't have enough at the end of the month.
Yes.
But the thing is, if you don't take something out of that, how will you ever break that cycle?
Yeah. And as you were saying earlier, everybody is on a different, is in a different place on this path to financial freedom, right? And there's really this conversation that you have to have with yourself. I mean, for some people, right, it is, I can't save because I only have enough money to put food on my table. Like, that is a real situation. There are others who may be in a different position who are saying, they're just, we talked about in one of our other episodes that, most people don't even know how much they spent last month. Mm-hmm. So part of it is you have to know, how much you're spending at any given time. And once you do that personal audit of, where is my money going, you can start to identify, okay, what are these things that I really don't need that I can reallocate to savings?
What can I do differently?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And part of it, you're right. It starts with knowing and knowing what's important to you. Mm-hmm. And am I spending the money on things that are important to me? Great.
Yes.
Then I'm meeting my goals. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not, especially if you're in a situation where you have a shared household, having that understanding as to what's important to you will help you, feel free around, the decisions you're making, how you're spending your money, and what your pathway is to meeting the goals that you're looking to try to achieve. Like I said, I'm on a 5-year plan now come next week around retirement. So another big goal for me has been, retirement. And I actually started saving for retirement when I got my first job out of college when I was in my 20s. And I know a lot of young people might think, oh, retiring, I'm just starting. That's, 40, maybe 50 years away. Mm-hmm. Why should I be thinking about that now? Mm-hmm. But by starting small and by having time on my side, it's enabled me to be able to create, savings that will give me that financial freedom of what type of work I want to do as I reach that next threshold in my life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be in a position where it's like I work because I'm enjoying what I'm doing, not because I have to. Right. And that was another, personal goal that was important to me in my household. So.
So it's time for our segment called Two Sides of the Coin. So in this segment, we'll take a question from one of our viewers or listeners. And the question this week is, how much money should I spend on fun stuff? So I thought that was interesting because when I think about my savings plan, it's saving for retirement, it's saving for education, these big, serious, things that could have, major impact on my life if I don't set dollars aside, for a long time to, help me get to that goal. But the question is, how much money should I spend on fun stuff?
Your finances is such a personal place to be. Mm-hmm. And I would say that it's going to be your personal place or decision as to how much you would spend on fun stuff and what you would consider fun stuff.
Yes, right.
And I think it all kind of comes back to if you know and understand your money and know and understand where you're spending it, then you can make that as a part of your plan. Mm-hmm. So it's all, I think, it all starts with what's important to you. And so if you're big on, because I know certain people in my household are big on birthdays, birthday celebration, want to have a cake.
Yeah, my household
want to go to dinner, want to have presents, want to really spend things, around my birthday because that's important to me to be able to celebrate. Just being able to live another year and come together with friends and family. So going to be spending more on fun stuff in that person's budget than someone who, more focused on other things, on saving for that car or education fund or, new wardrobe or new dress, might have an affinity for jewelry, might have affinity for anything. It just depends on what your personal preference is. But if you've got a plan that you've paid yourself first, so you've got savings for, unanticipated expenses in the household, for your future state in, retirement, or if you have to have a health emergency or, any of these other things, if you have that in place and you've gone through that, then depending on where you're at and having those things that are important to you for the future, that dictates what you'll have for the fun stuff. That dictates what you'll have, left over to be creative with, or, to do things, that really kind of feed your spirit.
Yeah. Well, I think that, we all know that most of us, we only have a finite amount of money that's coming in every month. And it is all about prioritization. And, fun to me could be taking an international vacation, for example. That's not something I can do every month. Definitely not something I could do whenever I think about it. Like, you really do have to put a plan in place to get there. So maybe it's, all right, I've got a 5-year plan and I'm going to start savings for that. And it could be, okay, yeah, I do have this long-term goal of saving for retirement, but for the next year, I'm going to shift a little bit of that money to my savings for this vacation that I want to take, because at the end of the day, you only have so much money to work with. So there are strategies to do that. And like you said before, everybody has a different goal. It's really, what is important to you. And for me, financial freedom means being able to live and to give more abundantly. And I want to live abundantly. And, that's where, some of this fun stuff and entertainment comes into play. And can't do it all the time, but, how can you make those exceptions and, shift some dollars to help fund some of those fun things? Because at the end of the day, you want to say that you
want to live,
accomplish your goal. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Journey to Financial Freedom is all about. Being able to live the life that is fulfilling for you.
Yes.
And you know what that is. And by having the right, information around your money and making those types of choices and decisions for what's right for you.
Absolutely. So it's been a great conversation today. These 28 minutes go by super fast, but I hope for our listeners and viewers today that you've gotten something out of this, and that it's given you, little food for thought as you're thinking about your savings and your goals and how can you make different decisions. I was at a reception earlier this week, and somebody said, I want to come on your show. And I'm like, well, what do you want to talk about? And he said, compromise. And I'm like, it is. It's all about making a sacrifice and compromise when it comes to savings and when it comes to moving your financial journey, moving forward in your financial journey. So, again, thank you for participating. Thank you, Jenny, for all your input. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. We'll be back. You can follow us on at the Sisters Guide on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. And, as you're on your financial journey, just remember to continue to be disciplined and to be positive and to and stay intentional, because it's a marathon. It is. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon, and we're in this together for the long haul. So,
and it's never too early to start.
That's right.
And it's never too little to start.